Cancer. There is a particular shape that the missing of someone you have not yet met takes in a person's life. And I want to name that shape before I describe what is approaching, because naming it is part of how you understand what is being answered. The shape of missing someone you have not met is not the same as the shape of missing someone you have known. It is more diffuse. It does not attach to specific memories because there are no memories yet. It attaches instead to certain qualities of attention, to certain places in your daily routine where there is room for someone, even though that someone has not yet appeared, to certain moments when you are doing something perfectly fine on your own and yet sense without sentimentality that the moment would be slightly different if there were someone in it with you. That sensing has been alive in you. It has been low grade, never quite urgent, but persistent. The sensing is a form of intelligence. It has been tracking the absence of a specific person whose existence your deeper knowing has registered without yet being able to point to. I want to walk you through what your deeper knowing has been registering, because the message I am bringing through is not so much new information as confirmation of something you have already partially intuited. The intuition has been quiet. It has not announced itself in dramatic ways, but it has been there in those small moments of sensing the shape of someone, and it has been accurate. There is a person whose existence has been the source of the sensing. They are real. They have a particular configuration that fits the shape your sensing has been outlining. The fit is not metaphorical. It is structural. The way you have been moving through the world has been creating in negative space a profile that this person fills with surprising precision. The way I want to describe them is by walking through what they have been doing while you have been doing what you have been doing. You have not been alone in your preparation for this connection. They have been preparing too. They have been living a parallel life with its own rhythms, its own challenges, its own small developments. They have had their own difficult chapters. They have made their own peace with their own past. They have, over a stretch of time that approximately matches the stretch of your own preparation, become the person who can meet you at the level you can be met. The synchronization of the two preparations is not coincidence. It is one of the more remarkable features of how connections of this kind tend to be arranged. Two lives in different places, often unaware of each other, undergoing the necessary developments to make a future meeting viable. There has been a moment not too long ago in their life when something shifted. I cannot tell you exactly what. It was a moment when a particular phase of their existence resolved in a way that opened them to what was previously unavailable. Before that moment, they were not yet ready for this connection. After that moment, they were. The moment may have looked, from their perspective, like a small thing. It may have been a decision they made, a relationship they ended, a project they completed, an internal recognition that allowed them to release something they had been holding. Whatever the form, it occurred. And it occurred recently. They are now in the post-shift phase of their life, the phase in which they are available in their fullness for what comes next. What comes next includes you. I want to address a particular question you may be carrying, which is whether you have already met this person and not realized it. The question deserves a direct answer. I am picking up that you have not. The encounter is in the future, not the past. There may be people you have already met who you have wondered about. Those wonderings were not necessarily wrong. You have a strong intuition for connection, and you have probably sensed potential in people you have crossed paths with. But the specific person we are discussing is not among those you have already encountered. They are still ahead. The wondering you have done about previous people was useful in that it kept your attention pointed toward the dimension of life that contains this kind of connection. But the actual person whose arrival is being described in this reading is someone you have not yet met. Their arrival is fresh. Let me tell you something specific about how the meeting is going to occur, although I will tell it in a way that gives you orientation rather than such precise detail that you might inadvertently engineer it. The meeting is going to occur during something you are doing for reasons that have nothing to do with looking for a partner. This is important. You are not going to find this person by going to places where you might find someone. You are going to find them by being where you would have been anyway, doing what you would have been doing anyway, and them happening to also be there. The mutual presence in the context will not be arranged by either of you. It will be the natural result of two lives crossing paths because of the activities each is independently engaged in. The naturalness is part of why the connection works. Engineered meetings tend to produce engineered relationships. Natural meetings tend to produce relationships that have their own organic foundation. This is Cancer Tarot, and what I am bringing through for you in this reading is something that I want to deliver with a particular kind of grounding. You have heard messages about meeting your future partner before. Some of them have come from this channel, some have come from others. The volume of such messages can become its own kind of noise, and the noise can dilute the signal of any particular message, including the one I am bringing now. I do not want this message to be diluted. So I am going to do something slightly different. I am going to ask you to do a small experiment internally. Set aside, for the duration of this reading, all the previous messages about future partners that you have absorbed. Let them be. Listen to this one as if it were the only one. Not because the others were wrong, but because the listening becomes more accurate when it is not crowded by other listenings. After the reading, you can put it back into context. For the duration, give this one its own space. I want to share something specific about what kind of person they are in their daily life, because I think the texture of their daily life matters more than abstract descriptions of their character. They have a particular rhythm to their days. They wake at a certain hour, do certain things, move through certain rooms. The rhythm has a quality of intentionality to it. They have, over the years, designed their daily life with some care. The design reflects who they are. They have figured out what works for them and what does not, and they have arranged their hours accordingly. This is not a person whose life is chaotic. This is a person whose life is structured, although the structure is theirs and reflects their values rather than externally imposed expectations. When you encounter them, this structured quality of their existence will become apparent fairly quickly. It will register as competence, as steadiness, as someone who has worked out how to live. The structure of their life is going to fit with yours in interesting ways. You also have a structured life. Although your structure may not always feel obvious to you, you have worked out over the years how you function best, what you need for good days, what disrupts your equilibrium. The two of you have arrived at structures that are different in their specifics but compatible in their underlying values. This compatibility is going to make the merging of your lives, when it eventually occurs, much smoother than mergings often are. You will not have to fundamentally restructure your existence to accommodate them. They will not have to fundamentally restructure theirs to accommodate you. The structures will dovetail. The dovetailing will reveal itself early in small ways and will become one of the foundations of the partnership. I want to talk about something about their character that I think you will appreciate when you encounter it. They have a particular relationship to truth. They tell the truth without performing the telling. Some people use truth as a weapon, presenting honesty as a way of being important or controlling. This person is not one of those. They tell the truth in a quieter way simply because they prefer the truth to its alternatives, and because they have learned that relationships built on partial truths eventually require either correction or collapse. Their honesty is going to feel, after the period of getting to know them, like a relief. You will not have to wonder whether what they are telling you is what they actually think. They will tell you what they actually think in measured terms, without unnecessary harshness. The reliability of their honesty will become one of the things you most value in the connection. I want to address the question of what you will do in a daily sense with this person. Some relationships are activity based. The partners do many things together, fill their time with shared experiences, structure their connection around external engagements. Other relationships are more presence based. The partners are simply with each other, often doing nothing in particular, with the being together itself constituting the relationship. The connection you are about to enter is going to be more presence based than activity based, although it will include both dimensions. You are going to spend a lot of time simply being with this person in quiet ways without feeling that you need to be doing something. The capacity to be with someone without entertainment or constant activity is one of the markers of a deep connection. You and this person will have that capacity from fairly early on. It will be one of the things you cherish about the relationship. I want to mention something about how this person is going to handle the early phase of the connection because I think it will be helpful for you to know in advance. They are not going to rush. They are going to move at a measured pace, partly because that is how they generally move, and partly because they will recognize that this is not a casual encounter and will want to give it the attention it deserves. The pace may, at moments, feel slower than you expect. There may be intervals in which they do not reach out as frequently as you would prefer. Do not interpret these intervals as signals that they are not interested. They are deeply interested. They are simply pacing themselves in a way that is consistent with their broader approach to important things in their life. The pacing will produce a relationship that has a sturdier foundation than relationships that rush their early stages. Trust the pacing, match it, rather than trying to accelerate it. The matching will be one of the early signs that you and they are well aligned. I want to share something about a specific kind of conversation that you and this person are going to have fairly early in the connection. There will be a conversation in which both of you reveal something about your past that you do not typically share. The revelations will not be confessions of dramatic things. They will be more textured, pieces of personal history that are real and meaningful, but that most people do not get access to. The simultaneity of the revealing will be significant. Both of you will recognize in the moment of mutual sharing that the connection has reached a level of trust that not all your other relationships have reached. After this conversation, the bond will deepen substantially. The deepening will be felt by both of you, although you may not articulate it explicitly. The conversation is one of the foundational moments of the relationship's early period. I want to address a particular concern that may arise during the early phase. There may be moments when you wonder whether you are the right person for this connection. Whether your particular qualities, your specific circumstances, your existing commitments are going to fit with what the connection needs. This wondering is normal. It comes from the part of you that has, in past relationships, sometimes been told explicitly or implicitly that you were not quite right. Those past messages have left residue. The residue produces self-doubt at moments when self-doubt is unwarranted. I want to address this directly. You are the right person. The connection is being formed with you, not with some idealized version of you. Your specific qualities, including the ones you sometimes think might be problems, are part of what makes this connection work. The qualities you have been worried might disqualify you are, in fact, qualifying you. This person is going to want exactly who you are, not a smoothed out version, not a more accommodating version. The actual you. Believe this. It is true. I want to take a moment to describe what your life will look like a year after the meeting occurs. By that point, the relationship will have moved through its early phases and into a settled rhythm. The two of you will have spent enough time together to have developed shared understandings. You will have a few private jokes. You will have favorite places you go together. You will have established certain rituals that mark the texture of being a couple. The relationship will not have answered every question about your life. Other questions will remain, but the relationship will be a stable foundation from which you address the other questions. This stability is one of the deeper gifts. You will be able to engage with the rest of your life with the security of knowing that this part is taken care of. I want to mention something about how you are going to feel about yourself in the context of this relationship. There is going to be a softening of certain self-criticisms that have been with you for a long time. Not because the relationship will fix them, because being seen, accepted, and loved by someone who knows you well naturally reduces the volume of internal criticism. The criticisms will not entirely disappear, but they will become quieter. They will lose some of their grip. You will discover that you can like yourself more than you have been able to like yourself, partly because someone else likes you in a way that demonstrates that the previous lower estimate was inaccurate. This recalibration of your self-image is one of the subtler effects of a good partnership. It is also one of the most valuable. This is Cancer Tarot bringing through a particular emphasis. I want to underscore the connection you are entering is going to be a connection between equals. This is worth stating explicitly because some part of you may carry an assumption that significant relationships involve a hierarchy of some kind. One person being the giver, the other the receiver. One person being the leader, the other the follower. One person being the more accomplished, the other the less. The connection that is approaching does not have this structure. The two of you are equal. You bring equally substantial contributions to the relationship, even though the contributions take different forms. Neither of you is the bigger party, neither of you is the smaller. The equality is structural, and it produces a particular kind of dynamic that some people find unfamiliar at first. You will need to internalize the equality, not perform humility that diminishes your contribution, not perform confidence that overstates it. Simply stand in the actual equality, which is the truth of the situation. I want to address something about overthinking that I think will be useful as we move toward the closing of this reading. Overthinking in the romantic context often functions as a substitute for action. The mind generates so much content about a situation that it produces an illusion of having engaged with the situation, even when no actual engagement has occurred. The substitution is comforting because real engagement involves vulnerability, and vulnerability is uncomfortable. Thinking about engagement is less uncomfortable. The thinking can therefore become a way of staying in the situation without ever having to actually be in it. The discipline I am suggesting is to notice when thinking is functioning as a substitute and to gently choose engagement instead. Engagement will be uncomfortable in some moments. It will require you to actually do things, say things, be present. The discomfort is appropriate. It is the discomfort of real life as opposed to imagined life. Choose real life, even when imagined life feels safer. I want to mention something about how you will know in the early phase that this is the connection I have been describing rather than another connection that has some surface similarities. You will know by the persistence of your attention. With other potential partners, your attention has tended to fluctuate. Strong moments of interest followed by quieter moments of doubt or distraction. With this person, your attention will be more consistent. Even in moments when you are not actively interacting with them, your attention will quietly include them. They will be present in the background of your mind in a way that does not feel intrusive but feels right. The persistence is the marker. Other markers are less reliable. The intensity of initial attraction can be high in many situations. The persistent quality of background attention is the signature of a connection that is actually substantial. I want to share a small practical orientation for the period leading up to the meeting. Pay attention to invitations that arrive in your life during this period. Invitations to events, gatherings, activities that you might ordinarily consider declining. Some of these invitations will lead to ordinary outcomes. One or two of them, however, will turn out to be the doorway through which the meeting occurs. You cannot tell in advance which is which. So I am suggesting that you incline slightly more toward acceptance than your default. Not so much that you exhaust yourself with engagements you do not want, but slightly more open than usual. The slight extra openness will increase the probability that you are in the place where the meeting happens at the moment it happens. I want to also suggest that you maintain ordinary social engagement during this period. Continue to spend time with friends. Continue to engage with your communities. Continue to participate in the activities that have meaning to you. Do not withdraw into solitude in anticipation of the meeting. The meeting is most likely to occur in contexts that involve other people. Your social life is part of how you remain available to encounters that include this person. The social life does not need to be intensified beyond your natural inclination. It just needs to continue at its usual level. There is something I want to acknowledge before I move toward the closing. You may have, at this point in your life, developed a certain protective skepticism about romantic predictions. You have heard them before. Some have unfolded as predicted, others have not. The skepticism is an entirely reasonable response to the pattern of mixed accuracy. I want to honor your skepticism by not asking you to abandon it. I am asking you, instead, to hold what I am saying lightly, to allow it to coexist with your skepticism rather than to displace the skepticism. The reading does not need your full belief in order to do its work. It only needs your willingness to consider it seriously. The unfolding will be the test. If what I am describing turns out to match what occurs, the skepticism can be informed by that evidence. If it does not, the skepticism is justified. Either way, the discernment remains yours. Here on Cancer Tarot, I want to leave you with a final orientation. The relationship that is approaching is real. The person on the other side of the meeting is real. The texture of the future life I have been describing is real. None of this is a fantasy designed to comfort you. It is a description of an actual future event with actual implications for how you will live your continuing life. The reality of it is what I most want you to take from this reading. Not the specific details which may unfold somewhat differently from how I have described them. The reality of the underlying connection is what is reliable. The meeting is not far. Within the period this reading is meant to address, the encounter will occur. After the encounter, the unfolding will follow approximately the pattern I have described, with its own variations and surprises. You will not have to manage this pattern. You will only have to be present to it. The presence is your contribution. The rest is provided. You can stop the variant of overthinking that involves trying to engineer the meeting in advance. The meeting will happen without your engineering. You can stop the variant of overthinking that involves doubting whether you deserve the meeting. You deserve it in the relevant sense, which is that you have done the inner work that produces the readiness. You can stop the variant of overthinking that involves wondering whether you will recognize the person when they appear. You will. The recognition is built into the connection. What you can do instead of overthinking is live. Live the next stretch of your days with attention to the actual texture of what is happening. Engage with the people around you. Continue your work. Take care of your existing responsibilities. Receive the small joys that arrive. Notice the small confirmations. Be available to invitations that come from unexpected directions. Be yourself in your full particularity without performing a more accommodating version. The living is the entire preparation. There is no other preparation required. You are about to meet someone who will love you, share their life with you, build a future with you that includes both ordinary moments and extraordinary ones. The relationship will become one of the load-bearing structures of your continuing existence. You will look back, eventually, on the period leading up to the meeting, and you will recognize this period as a kind of waiting room. The waiting room had its own meaning. Some of the development that needed to occur in you happened during the waiting. The waiting was not wasted, but you are about to leave the waiting room. The next room is being prepared for your arrival. The person who will be in that room with you is also being prepared to receive you. The threshold is close. Walk toward it without strain. The walking is gentle. The walking does not require effort. It requires only that you continue moving forward, day by day, in the direction your life is naturally taking you. The threshold will appear in front of you when the moment is right. You will cross it. The crossing will be quieter than you expect. After the crossing, everything will be different, but the difference will reveal itself gradually. You will not be overwhelmed. You will be welcomed. You have been brave in the long stretch of time during which you have been waiting without certainty. The bravery has not been recognized by most of the people around you because much of it has been internal. But it has been real. The bravery has been part of what produced the readiness. The readiness has been part of what made the meeting possible. The meeting is now approaching. The bravery is being rewarded, not in the sense of payment for services rendered, but in the sense that what you have been preparing for is finally arriving in a form you can engage with. Be open, be present, be yourself. The rest will take care of itself. The person you have been sensing without being able to name is approaching the moment of becoming nameable. The naming will occur. The connection will form. The future will unfold with all its specificity and surprise into something that is both deeply familiar and entirely new. You will be there. They will be there. The two of you will recognize each other, and the recognition will be the beginning of everything that follows. Walk forward into this. The future is being made ready for you. You are being made ready for the future. The convergence is imminent. Receive it as the answer to the question you have been holding without knowing you were holding it. The answer is good. The answer is yours. The answer is coming.